Some people attract attention. Sigma empaths attract energy. And sometimes that energy isn't pure. They don't chase toxic people find them. It's not coincidence, it's magnetism. Their calm presence, deep understanding, and emotional intelligence make broken people feel safe, even the ones who feed on chaos. There's something about a Sigma empath that draws in those who crave control or validation. They're grounded yet mysterious, soft but unreadable, the perfect balance that fascinates unstable personalities. To the toxic mind, a Sigma empath feels like both comfort and challenge. Comfort because they listen without judgment, challenge because they can't be easily manipulated. That tension, that mix of safety and power is irresistible to people who live off emotional control. But the empath's gift becomes their curse. They see potential where they should see warning signs. They try to heal what only drains them. And before they realize it, they're carrying the emotional weight of people who never planned to lighten their own. Still, they don't regret carrying because their compassion isn't weakness, it's awareness. They just have to learn when to stop giving it to those who mistake love for rescue. The truth is, Sigma empaths don't attract toxicity because they're fragile. They attract it because they're powerful. Their light exposes what others hide. Their calm energy becomes a mirror. And for those running from their own reflection, that's terrifying. Toxic people are drawn to them because deep down, they want the peace the empath naturally lives in. They just don't know how to handle it. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to Brainy Empath, where we explore the deep psychology, energy awareness, and emotional strength behind the world's most misunderstood souls. And if you've ever felt like you attract people you need to heal, not people who want to grow with you, comment "My energy speaks louder" below. Now let's uncover why Sigma empaths become magnets for toxic people and how that power can finally turn into protection. Their healing energy feels safe to people who fear their own chaos. Some people radiate charm. Sigma empaths radiate calm. Their energy feels like peace in a world addicted to noise. And for people who live in chaos, that peace is magnetic. Toxic people, even if they don't realize it, are drawn to that balance. They sense it instantly. The steady tone, the patient eyes, the warmth that doesn't ask for anything in return. To someone unstable, that calm feels like safety. But here's the paradox. The same peace that draws them in also exposes everything they've been running from. When a Sigma empath enters a room, the energy shifts. They don't have to speak. Their presence alone feels grounding. People who live in constant emotional turbulence can feel that difference. Their nervous systems relax around it, even if their minds don't understand why. The empath's energy feels like a home they've never known, accepting, gentle, non-judgmental. But for those who haven't faced their own shadows, that safety becomes addictive. They cling to it, not to grow from it, but to hide within it. The Sigma empath doesn't set out to heal anyone, it's just who they are. Their compassion is natural, not performed. They listen deeply, feel deeply, and understand pain, even when it's unspoken. And that's exactly why broken people come running. The empath becomes the emotional anchor they never had, a steady presence that absorbs storms without complaint. But that gift comes with a cost. When you feel safe to everyone, even the unstable start seeking your energy like oxygen. At first, the empath mistakes this connection for mutual understanding. They think they're helping, but soon they start to notice a pattern. The same people who once admired their calm begin to depend on it, drain it, even resent it. Because their peace doesn't fix chaos, it simply reflects it. And reflection is something toxic people can't handle for long. That's the painful truth Sigma empaths learn. Being healing doesn't mean being responsible. Their peace may attract chaos, but it's not their job to contain it. Because some people don't come for love, they come for shelter from their own storms. And once the empath realizes that, they stop offering rescue and start protecting their peace. They see potential in people others have already walked away from. Sigma empaths have this rare gift. They don't see people as they are, they see them as they could be. Where others see damage, the empath sees depth. Where others see manipulation, they see pain that hasn't been healed yet. It's not naivety, it's vision. They can look at someone's darkness and still sense the light buried underneath. And that's exactly why they attract those who've already scared everyone else away. To the empath, no one is beyond redemption. They believe that everyone carries a story behind their flaws, a reason behind their coldness, their anger, their emotional walls. That belief makes them magnetic to lost souls, to people who crave understanding but fear exposure. When a Sigma empath listens, it's not surface level, it's soul level. They look at someone's brokenness and think, I can help them find themselves again. And that's where the danger begins. Because toxic people feel that belief. They sense the empathy, the patience, the willingness to stay when others have left. It gives them comfort, but also power. They realize the empath won't give up easily, that their heart runs on hope, and that hope can be used. So they lean into it, showing glimpses of potential, moments of vulnerability, just enough to keep the empath emotionally invested. It's not always intentional manipulation, sometimes it's survival, but the result is the same: the empath gives and the other takes. Sigma empaths don't fall for perfection, they fall for possibility. They see glimpses of the person beneath the pain and convince themselves that love can bring that version out. But what they forget is this: potential isn't transformation. Seeing who someone could be doesn't mean they want to become it. And the empath ends up pouring energy into someone who's still addicted to their own chaos. Eventually, the empath learns painfully that not everyone wants to be saved. Some people love the idea of healing but hate the process of it. That's when the Sigma finally pulls back, not in bitterness, but in wisdom, because they realize that seeing potential isn't a curse, it's a compass. It just has to be pointed at people who choose to grow. Their empathy feels unconditional, which attracts those who take without giving. Sigma empaths love without measurement. When they care, they really care. Not halfway, not with caution. Their empathy runs deep, raw, and without filters. They give understanding even when others offer judgment. They listen when everyone else has stopped trying. That kind of warmth feels rare, healing even, and that's exactly why it becomes a magnet for those who only know how to take. To a taker, a Sigma empath feels like emotional paradise. Someone who won't criticize, who always forgives, who never stops seeing the good. They mistake compassion for permission. They sense the empath's giving nature and think, I can rest here. I can take as much as I need. And at first, it feels mutual. The empath feels needed, the other feels safe, but slowly, the balance breaks. The connection becomes one-sided, invisible lines get crossed, and the empath starts to feel what they rarely admit: drained. It's not that they don't notice the imbalance, they do. They feel the energy shift long before they name it, but their heart makes excuses. They're just going through something. They'll give back when they're ready. It's that gentle optimism that keeps them holding on longer than they should. Because the Sigma empath doesn't love to fix, they love to understand. They think if they love someone deeply enough, the person will rise to meet that love. But often, the opposite happens. The more unconditional their empathy feels, the more some people test it. They keep taking attention, forgiveness, time, until the empath has nothing left to give. And when the empath finally sets a boundary, those same people call them cold, distant, or changed. But that's not coldness, that's recovery. The Sigma empath eventually learns that empathy without boundaries isn't love. It's self-erasure. They discover that the most powerful form of compassion isn't always giving more. Sometimes it's stopping. Because unconditional love doesn't mean unlimited access. And when they finally reclaim their energy, the takers notice the silence, because it's the first time they've had to face themselves without being fed by the empath's warmth. The Sigma doesn't regret giving, they just finally understand. Real empathy must include themselves too. Their calm presence exposes insecurity in people who thrive on control. Sigma empaths don't need to raise their voice to make an impact. Their calm is the impact. Their presence is steady, grounded, almost unshakable. And that kind of composure quietly unsettles people who rely on control to feel powerful. Toxic personalities thrive on emotional reaction. They feed off chaos, attention, and dominance. But when they meet someone who doesn't flinch, doesn't argue, doesn't play into the noise, it disarms them completely. The Sigma empath's calm is not weakness, it's clarity. They can sit in tension without trying to control it, listen without defending, and observe without absorbing. That balance confuses people who manipulate through emotion. They expect the empath to react, to over-explain, to chase peace at any cost. But instead, they're met with quiet eyes and steady energy, and that stillness exposes everything. Suddenly, the one who once felt powerful starts to feel transparent. It's psychological. Control depends on emotional chaos, but the empath's peace removes that fuel. Their silence becomes a mirror, forcing others to face the insecurity hiding behind their dominance. The more calm the empath stays, the more the other person's need for control unravels. They raise their voice, push harder, provoke, and still the Sigma stays still. That's when the truth emerges. Control was never power, it was fear. Toxic people hate the feeling of being seen. They use manipulation to stay in charge, but the empath's grounded energy makes that mask crumble. There's no argument to win, no emotional hook to grab, only reflection. And reflection is something they can't stand. What the Sigma empath understands, often unconsciously, is that real strength doesn't need to dominate. It simply exists. Their calm doesn't demand change, it creates it. People either rise to match that energy or reveal their instability trying to fight it. And that's the quiet brilliance of the empath's presence. They don't expose anyone with words, they expose them with peace. So while others clash, compete, and control, the Sigma empath remains still, untouchable, because their calm doesn't just protect them, it reveals everyone else. They confuse chemistry with connection, mistaking intensity for depth. For the Sigma empath, connection feels spiritual. When they meet someone whose energy vibrates strongly, the spark, the pull, the emotional intensity, it feels like destiny. But what they often don't realize is that not every powerful bond is healthy. Sometimes that rush of chemistry isn't connection, it's recognition. The empath feels the other person's wounds because they mirror their own. That intensity feels deep, but it's actually emotional familiarity dressed as love. Empaths are wired to feel everything: attraction, sadness, fear, excitement, all at once. So when someone triggers those emotions, it feels real. The late night conversations, the confessions, the vulnerability, it all feels like soul level understanding. But often what's really happening is trauma bonding, not true compatibility. The empath mistakes the emotional adrenaline of being needed for the peace of being seen. It's not love, it's intensity. Toxic people are masters at creating that rush. They mirror the empath's values, match their energy, and build fast emotional intimacy. They know how to say the right words, show the right emotions, and make the empath feel like, finally, someone gets me. The Sigma empath, craving genuine connection, believes it. They confuse emotional electricity for emotional depth, and by the time they realize the truth, they're already attached, not to the person, but to the feeling the person created. The danger is that intensity blinds clarity. The empath starts ignoring red flags, justifying imbalance, excusing emotional inconsistency, all because the connection feels too powerful to question. They think, if it feels this deep, it must be right. But real depth doesn't drain. It doesn't demand constant emotional rescue. It doesn't feel like walking on eggshells. It feels calm, secure, and mutual. Eventually, the Sigma empath learns that the strongest connections don't burn, they balance. They stop chasing sparks and start valuing peace. Because chemistry can be instant, but connection takes time, and not every intense feeling deserves a lifelong commitment. Once they learn that difference, everything changes. They no longer fall for the rush, they fall for alignment. The chaos loses its charm, the peace becomes the attraction, and that's when the Sigma empath finally stops confusing the storm for love and starts choosing calm as their true connection. Their boundaries are soft at first, and manipulators sense it instantly. Sigma empaths begin every connection with openness. They believe in giving people the benefit of the doubt, in leading with trust instead of suspicion. Their boundaries aren't weak, they're compassionate. They want to understand before they judge, to listen before they close off. But that softness, that gentle patience, is exactly what manipulators recognize immediately. It's like blood in the water for emotional predators. Manipulators thrive on emotional accessibility, and the Sigma Empath radiates it naturally. Their warmth feels safe, their empathy feels endless, and their forgiveness feels guaranteed. Toxic people can sense that energy from miles away. The calm voice, the patient nod, the way the empath absorbs emotion without resistance. To them, that's an invitation. They test the limits early. Small favors, subtle guilt trips, tiny emotional manipulations disguised as affection. And so, with that, we have the favorite ruse, and this was a favorite little short stitch. This was almost a year ago, and the empath, not wanting to seem cold or unkind, lets it slide. That's how it begins, not with a storm, but with a drip. Each small boundary cross teaches the manipulator that access is easy, that the empath's compassion can be stretched. The empath doesn't notice at first. They confuse tolerance with kindness. They think they just need understanding, but the more they give, the more the manipulator takes, until the balance disappears completely. The Sigma Empath doesn't lose themselves all at once. It's gradual. Piece by piece, they start bending to maintain peace, softening to avoid conflict, giving more to prove loyalty. And the manipulator thrives on it. They found their perfect match. Someone who mistakes emotional endurance for love. But what makes the Sigma different from other empaths is awareness. It might take time, but eventually they see it. They notice how the relationship feels one-sided, how peace only exists when they're the one sacrificing. And when that realization hits, their softness hardens fast, boundaries rise, silence replaces explanation, and access is denied. The same calm energy that once invited becomes untouchable. These manipulators never expect that shift. They confuse patience for weakness, but the Sigma's empathy was never weakness, it was choice. And when they stop choosing to give it, everything changes. Because once a Sigma empath learns to guard their softness, their compassion stops being a doorway and becomes a fortress. They stay loyal even when the relationship drains them emotionally. When an Sigma empath loves, they don't quit easily. Their loyalty runs deep, not because they're blind, but because they believe. They believe in effort, in healing, in the idea that love can outlast pain. Even when a relationship starts to drain them, they stay, hoping their understanding can turn the storm into peace. It's not desperation, it's devotion. But that devotion often becomes their downfall. Empaths see through flaws, but they also forgive through them. They remember someone's softness long after it's been replaced by sharp words. They recall the good moments in high definition and blur out the bad. They tell themselves maybe they just need more patience. Maybe they'll change once they feel safe again. So they give time, energy, forgiveness until they're running on fumes. What the Sigma empath doesn't realize at first is that loyalty without reciprocity becomes self-abandonment. Their heart is wired to nurture, so even when the relationship turns heavy, they focus on what can be fixed instead of what's already broken. They become the emotional backbone, the silent healer, the one who keeps things steady while slowly unraveling inside. And the more they give, the less they receive, because the other person gets used to taking. Toxic people confuse this loyalty for permission. They assume the empath will never leave no matter how much they drain them. And for a while they're right, because the Sigma empath doesn't walk away easily. They'd rather carry the pain than cause it. But there's always a breaking point. One quiet moment when the empath realizes they're the only one still trying, that the connection they're protecting has already died. They're just keeping its memory alive. When that moment comes, the shift is instant. No fight, no final speech, no dramatic exit, just silence. The Sigma empath leaves the same way they stayed, with depth, with peace, with quiet finality. And those who once took their loyalty for granted never see it coming. Because when a Sigma empath finally stops giving, it's not out of bitterness, it's out of clarity. They've learned that true loyalty isn't about staying through pain, it's about honoring yourself enough to stop calling it love when it only hurts. Their energy teaches lessons because when they finally walk away, toxic people feel the loss deeply, When a Sigma empath leaves, the silence hits harder than any argument ever could. There's no revenge, no anger, no dramatic goodbye, just absence. The kind of absence that echoes. For a while, the toxic person doesn't notice. They think the empath will come back like before, with forgiveness in one hand and understanding in the other. But this time, they don't. And that's when the lesson begins. Sigma empaths don't just fill space, they change the energy around them. Their presence soothes chaos, their calm stabilizes tension, and their empathy makes even broken people feel whole. You don't realize how powerful that energy is until it's gone. Suddenly, the air feels heavier, the laughter sounds forced. The peace that once followed them is replaced with emotional static. That's when the toxic person starts to feel it. Not guilt at first, but confusion. Why does everything feel off without them? Because the Sigma empath's energy wasn't just comfort, it was balance. They unknowingly absorbed the emotional weight others couldn't carry. They turned storms into calm, distance into understanding. Their love didn't just support, it healed. And when that energy disappears, people are forced to sit with the chaos they once projected outward. The silence becomes a mirror. For the toxic person, that reflection is painful. They start realizing that the stability they thought was theirs actually came from the empath. The peace they enjoyed wasn't natural, it was borrowed. And the warmth they felt wasn't attention, it was healing. Losing a Sigma empath is like losing emotional gravity. Everything starts to drift. The empath doesn't walk away to punish, they walk away to recover. But their absence becomes the consequence, because when someone's energy has been your comfort, their silence becomes your confrontation. And for the Sigma empath, that's poetic justice, not fueled by ego, but by truth. They never needed to teach the lesson. Their presence was the lesson all along. And when they leave, they don't just create distance, they leave behind clarity, a quiet realization that what was taken for granted was actually irreplaceable. When a Sigma empath finally learns to protect their peace, everything changes. They stop being the emotional sponge for everyone else and start becoming their own source of calm. Their energy no longer heals people who refuse to heal themselves. It inspires them to rise. That's the shift, from absorbing pain to embodying power. And those who once drained them, they always feel the loss. Because you can't replace energy that came from purity, patience, and genuine care. You can mimic words, gestures, even affection, but you can't fake the soul of a Sigma empath. Their presence lingers, their silence teaches, and their absence transforms. If you've ever been the one who gave deeply, felt too much, or had to walk away just to breathe again, this message is for you. Your empathy isn't your weakness, it's your superpower. You just had to learn where to direct it. Before you go, make sure to subscribe to Brainy Empath, where we uncover the emotional intelligence, resilience, and quiet strength that make you different, not fragile, but formidable. And if you've watched this far, comment "My energy is sacred" below, so I'll know you're one of the rare ones who learned that walking away isn't giving up, it's growing up.